Venture building is one of the hottest trends inside the open innovation arena. And again, many corporates are just started or about to start a venture builder, but just a few of them have probably found a formula that seemed to work. Among them, one of the most interesting experience is the one of Telefonica that recently launched a Wayra Builder. And actually, Wayra Builder has been recognized among the corporate startup stars in the initiative, one of the most performing venture builder based on our corporate startup stars awards. And today I have the pleasure to have with me Susana Jurado, who is the head of Wayra Builder. Hi, Susana.
Hi.
Well, first of all, congratulations are in order because, again, the quality of the work that has been done by Telefonica, specifically by Wayra, and specifically by Wayra Builder, has been recognized again. Again, you are one of the most interesting venture builder that are around in the market.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, it's an honor getting this prize. So thank you.
But I think it's a recognition of some good work that has been done in designing and redesigning the vehicle, because venture building is something that is probably one of the recent tools, initiatives that are popping up in the open innovation arena. Because one thing that we have learned as part of the world of open innovation, that no initiatives are here to stay as they are being planned. Again, probably Telefonica with Wayra is probably the most visible example. Again, I can say without hesitation that Telefonica probably invented the corporate accelerator model, has been one of the first to really put accelerators on the market. And now the Wayra are probably no longer accelerators, or an evolution of the accelerator is something that's probably close to a micro VC fund. And so again, initiatives and tools and models of open innovation are evolving over time. And so some old, let's say, old-fashioned models are evolving into something else, and some new models, initiatives are emerging. And the venture builder is actually one of the most recent tools, and still judges are out to understand how will be the perfect way to make it work. And probably there is a lot of learning probably from the first 2-3 years of activities with Wayra Builder, also to understand how you guys have been running this vehicle, what have been learning, and how they are evolving. But before going to in depth into the Wayra Builder, that would be the main topic of this discussion, I will ask you to provide us with an overview of the overall Telefonica initiatives.
Sure. Basically, as you mentioned, we have been investing in startups for some time now. Here in this slide, you can see that we have all the investment vehicles, and they are ordered according to the maturity of the startups we invest in, but also according to the investment ticket. So
probably also with the risk.
Yeah, the risk definitely.
So if it's true that is risk, you are sitting on the most riskiest part of the fund.
Definitely, right? Definitely, because basically, I mean, we are starting with an idea. We don't have as many evidences from the market that is a good business idea. as in the other cases. So yeah, we are definitely the riskiest. We don't know if we are going to be successful. I mean, nobody knows it in the terms of startups, but in our particular case, I mean, we have to make decisions with with not as many data from the market as in other cases. So definitely the riskiest. I always say so.
Yeah.
So
the Wayra Builder, that is the venture builder of Telefonica.
exactly. So is our venture builder. So basically, is our investment vehicle, but that also allows us to create startups, and we mean startups like independent companies from Telefonica. I mean, so we are not talking about internal ventures, but startups. Startups that basically, when we started, could come from ideas inside the company, but now we are also exploring external sources of ideas.
But
And
essentially, you create new vehicles, essentially.
Basically, what I was going to say is we had, because the first one that was Telefonica Ventures was launched in 2006, so we have several investment vehicles. But Wayra Builder was born because we were missing one piece, that was the opportunity of not only investing in startups, but creating our own startups. And what we do is complement the portfolio of the existing startups and existing investment vehicles that we have in Telefonica, with adding to it the creation of these companies that have a high potential market.
Yeah. And so to understand what the others do differently from Wayra Builder.
Sure. In the case of, I mean, Telefonica Ventures and Funds is our strategic investment vehicle, in the sense that the investments we make there are strategically aligned with the company, and to address the main challenges that we have in the telco industry. Then we have Wayra Hubs. Wayra Hubs invest in more mature startups than in the case of Wayra Builder and Wayra X, and helps them scale. In the case of the Wayra Hubs, they are located in different countries. So basically, they look for startups in those particular countries to invest in. Then we have Wayra X that basically focuses on B2C startups in an earlier stage than in the case of the Wayra Hubs, and of course 100% digital. And actually, Wayra X is a virtual or digital investment vehicle itself. So compared to Wayra Hubs that have a particular location and are located in particular countries, that's not the case of Wayra X.
So the Wayra apps, for helping our audience to understand, are the evolution of the former Wayra initiatives that are born local as accelerators. That's was
right.
the original, the origin of the different hubs. Because again, you have in multiple countries and location. If I can remember, beyond Spain, you have UK. This is one of the most important ones. Germany. I don't know if it's still there. And then Latin America, we have a few of them, right? Remember Chile and
Brazil. Also Brazil. I mean, we've got the ISPAM that is in several countries. I mean, is running investment startups in several countries in Latin America. But in the case of Brazil, there is a hub as well. So yes, Brazil, Germany, UK, ISPAM. And of course, in Spain. In Spain, we have two hubs, one in Barcelona and one in Madrid.
Yes. So this is Wayra Apps. This essentially is the evolution of the former accelerator that now are sort of micro VC investments. Then you have a digital version of them with a focus on B2C, that is Wayra X. And then there is the venture builder, that is the new vehicle with the goal of creating startup. And then on the right-hand side, looking at more mature initiative, there is Telefonica Venture, that is the venture capital arm of Telefonica, that, if I can remember, they have direct investment through the fund, or indirect investment, meaning as LP of other funds. And if I can remember, last year you launched a new one that is slightly different from the other former LP investment that Telefonica Ventures did, that is Lead Wind.
Yeah,
where
that's
you are
right.
for investment together with K Fund, that is led from Miguel Arias, that was a former colleague of yours, right?
Correct.
And a dear friend. So perfect.
Yeah.
And a great entrepreneur, I believe. So I really like the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, organizationally speaking, we have the Telefonica Ventures activity and funds are reporting to Gwenya, right?
That's right.
And then Wayra Apps are reporting to Andres Saborido, while Wayra Builder and Wayra X are reporting to Fernando Guillot, correct?
That's right. And then Irene, is the leader of all of them.
Yes.
Irene Gomez Luque.
Irene Gomez. And so yes, that I had the pleasure to interview probably some time ago.
Yeah, I saw the interview.
Yes.
Really
Anyway,
interesting.
so that is the overall map. Now let's deep dive on Wayra Builder. As mentioned, the goal of Wayra Builder is to
basically,
right?
Yeah, to create startups and complement the existing investment vehicles we already have at Telefonica, and basically complementing them with the opportunity or the option to create our own startups.
And again, one thing that I think has been mentioned, there is a sort of investment cap that is, by the way, is the same for different vehicles. So it's also the same for Wayra X, it's also the same with our apps. Obviously, it's different apply because you are investing in different initiatives with different maturity.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So in all the cases of the Wayras, we can invest up to 350Ks. Basically, I mean, that doesn't mean we are always going to invest 350Ks, but that's the maximum. Yeah, that's the gap. And in our particular case, going through our investment thesis, basically what we can do is we create and invest up to 350Ks in startups that come from business ideas conceived in the most relevant countries where Telefonica is operating. That's Spain, UK, Germany, and Brazil. These ideas have to be 100% digital, like in the case of Wayra X, with no hardware. And it can be in any of the areas. I mean, in the digital areas, we can be talking of IoT, video, cloud, metaverse, and so on. In our case, compared to Wayra X, we can invest and create startups that could be B2B or B2C. And one thing that is very important for us is, although these startups could be born locally in any of the countries I mentioned before, the aim is to become global companies, because actually us as Telefonica, we can help these startups precisely expand to other geographies because we are multinational. One thing that it's also very important concerning our investment thesis is that we invest a maximum, or we get a maximum of 20% of the equity, because we want our startups to have a cap table that doesn't compromise future investment rounds. This is something that is critical, because investors, when they see in a future round, when they see that a corporate has more than 20-25% of the company, usually they don't like it. So yeah, it's very important that that doesn't happen. So the startup has the opportunity to raise funds in the future.
And that's this, I believe, is one of the characteristics of the builder, at least as it is structured today, because again, there are two different kind of venture builders in the market. There are venture builders that mostly have a main strategic goal, meaning they want to create new businesses to be exploited internally. So the real goal is to span out initiative, is to scale initiative that might be hand over to the different units. Again, this is the example of the SAP Studio, Venture Studio, this is the goal of BP Launchpad, for example. So the goal there is to create new businesses to be exploited internally. So they have this machine that's supposed to bring them to the level that can be safely handed over to a business unit. Wayra Builder, I believe the goal is to mostly to exploit opportunities and to make them grow and put them on the market. That's why it's quite important, the outcome of the builder, that is creating new entities, separate entities. And I believe that also the cap to the ownership of Telefonica is become not just a design characteristic, is becoming one of the essence to put on the market something that might be interesting for the market. Because obviously, if something is controlled by 99% by Telefonica, no investor will definitely bet on that, because it's something that obviously is as a goal that is pretty clear, is ending as part of Telefonica. So there is no opportunity to be exited, and so there is no specific interest. While in your situation, you're putting entities on the market. And the next immediate question is, what are the sources? Because if I can remember, originally the focus of the bidder mostly was looking to some IP technologies, ideas that was inside the Telefonica, let's say, mothership. But right now, I think that is probably one of the most recent changes. You're also looking outside, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we are still looking inside. We are still doing spin-offs, but and we can even say that we have even internally broadened our strategy, in the sense that we are also working, like, for example, with the new trends team that are also part of this venture studio organization, where they are looking at trends, what's happening out there, and one of the things that we are exploring is, why not starting with an opportunity area, create our own startups. It's important to understand that in Telefonica, one of the things that we have is the opportunity. I mean, we have different business units. They are looking at what's happening there, what's happening in the industries, what's happening in the markets, what's happening with the customers. So there is an opportunity there to identify opportunities that we could address. If not internally, and there is not a startup, maybe there is an opportunity for us to create a startup that could potentially be there in the market and being very successful in 4 or 5 years' time. So that's something we have also broadened when we talk internally. But in the case of external, we are also exploring another sources, like, for example, other venture builders. And actually, we have one example of one of the startups we have created. It was precisely this way. And other corporates, because there are other corporates that we are approaching them, or they are approaching us, saying, hey, we can complement each other. They are from other industries. There are more and more corporates that are starting to get in this venture building arena of creating startups. And they are approaching us as well as as co-investors, but also as partners, where we could put both assets there. And
you are an award winner, so that's a good reason they call you, because again, there are not that many, and then we are the one that are definitely a good one.
Yeah. I mean, probably we are at least the ones that with a little bit more experience than others.
You guys launch with an SAP. I think the three of you are probably the one with the longest history. We're talking about a few years, because remind us when Wayra Builder.
Actually, so Wayra Builder was launched at the beginning of 2020. So
turning
more than 2 years and a half. It's going to be almost 3 years.
We have a gigantic track record, and the fact that you are one of the oldest, tell us how still in the early days of this instrument are we. And this is quite interesting, the point that you made of collaboration with other corporates. By the way, something that you already explored in the prior life of Wayra. If you remember, Wayra at the beginning was starting to co-accelerate startup with Renfe, if I can remember. There's some in the UK as well. So again, there's been something that you have in your prior life of Wayra. You're also experimenting this work of collaboration, co-acceleration, now co-creation with other corporate might be interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's good because basically that you mention it, because basically one of the good things of being out there and doing these things for many years is that we have learned, how to collaborate with and partnership with other corporates, and and make the most of that collaboration. So I mean, it's not just experience of Wayra Builder we are having right now for it or as a venture builder, but also all the experience we have in all the different investment vehicles that have been out there for many years right now.
Yes.
Yeah. And going to all the other sources, we also look, of course, we are looking for ideas in academia. So actually, for example, we launched last year a call in the academic ecosystem in Israel, looking for ideas of potential startups. Also, in our own website, people can submit their ideas, and actually we get almost every day we get some people that are submitting their ideas for us to consider them. And word of mouth is also, I mean, we have already been there for some time, almost 3 years, as I mentioned before. We have already created startups, but we have also worked and I would dare say advise other startups that have reached us, and even in some cases that we have rejected some of them, the process and the feedback we have provided them when we said no, but it's because of this, and you should probably change this and make this part better, the technological part or whatever. There are people that are recommending other potential startups. There, people that are working on the idea and to become startups, they are recommending to come to us as potential partners, investors in their ideas.
Just a question here, because I think it's quite relevant. If you find a startup that is not looking for investment, but is looking for potential, or there is the opportunity to scale it internally, what's the process? Do you acquire them? Do you just simply invest into them? How does it work? Because if you're talking about ideas, it's easy. You define a cap table, you take your part of the cap table, you put some money. How does it work, the process? Because again, for early stage ideas, easy, because you have a cap table that is 100% to be allocated. While for pre-existing vehicles, there might be some problems. How does it typically work?
Okay, so the process might vary, because depending on the source, but also depending on the maturity of the idea, we might make some changes. But I mean, we use all these sources to identify potential ideas. So the first thing is identifying them, ideas that match. What's very important is they have to match our investment thesis. And of course, they have to be, because we in some particular cases, people come to us and the startup is already there. I mean, it's already a company. In those cases, we cannot participate. So identifying ideas that could have potentially a good business is the first step, but then validating the idea. And here is where the maturity makes a difference, in the sense that in some cases, some ideas come with a validation process already done, because they have been in some sort of incubator, for example, or in the incubator, some venture builders out there have their own incubator, for example, and they come with a lot of validations. So in those particular cases, we basically do an assessment, talk with the team, and then we have define what are the different things we look at. One of the things that it's good of Wayra Builder is that we are a multidisciplinary team. So we do have people that are, let's say, from the finance, investment, and business world, but we also have technical people, design people, product people. So this combination allows us to basically make like a 360 assessment of the idea. And
How
with
many
this,
people is the Wayra team, the Wayra Builder team?
so basically right now it's 5 people and me, 6 people in total. So it's not a very big team. It's still a small team, but it's multidisciplinary. So
And then
this,
you tap into the largest Wayra, the Wayra Studio and the Wayra Galaxy, because again, yes.
yeah, of course, definitely. And actually, one of the things that we can do is rely on our colleagues and the experts that are in other parts of Wayra Ventures or any of the things that we have in the open innovation area. But also, we can rely on experts in other parts of Telefonica. Let's say, I mean, we get an idea around metaverse, we can reach out the chief metaverse office people and help us somehow as well, also to analyze ideas and to provide feedback to the people that are proposing the ideas as well. So I mean, we basically is 5, but somehow we lean on in all the assets that we have around us and in general in the company. In other cases, as I was mentioning, this is when the idea is more or less mature, but we have other cases in which the idea is not as mature as this. And in those particular cases, what we also can do is help the founders, help the team to go through this validation process of the idea. And for example, in the case of technological team, they can provide some advice on what would be the architecture that could make the idea or the product scalable compared to what they are proposing initially. So it's advice in all these in this 360 way. We provide advice in order to guide the team to validate the idea. Because one important thing for us is all the decisions we're making Wayra Builder are based on validations. So we need evidences from the market that the idea, I mean, you're never going to have 100% certainty,
Yeah.
but we need at least some validations from the market. So depending on the maturity of the idea, we might start earlier, or we are just we might start earlier with an advice, or we might just go directly to the assessment of the idea.
And the process of again that you use to select the initial ideas, then to move to the next stage, how much you invest initially.
Okay, so yeah, once we decide that the idea the idea looks good, one of the things is basically when we decide that we are going to invest in idea, we have to go through our investment committee, right? So we prepare the startup, the founders also. We help them prepare to go to the investment committee. If the investment committee goes ahead and says go ahead, we then start with the team. In case if it's already there, it's fine. I mean, we go ahead with the team. We might advise to include someone if we think a certain profile is missing or something like that. But I mean, the team is already there. But if it's not there, the first thing we do is identify the CEO.
And why do you find
Sorry?
Why do you find him or her?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have that it's pretty good is that, for example, Wayra has been already out there for 11 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a historical of information of founders we have been working with in the past. So definitely that's one of the first sources we go to. In other cases, I mean, it could come from our network. In some cases, it could be, for example, the other investors we work with. They can propose also a CEO. Yeah, so we are also using our connections. We use our knowledge and the people we know internally because we have been there a lot of time, but also the connections we have in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. So yeah, you rely on that.
And I strongly believe that the opportunity of tapping into the Wayra nexus that is so huge, because I think you accelerated, if I'm not wrong, more than 800 companies over 11 years, give or take.
Yeah, 900 actually, more than 900.
And I
Yeah,
lost a bunch of them.
a lot of them. Yeah.
Again, we are talking about almost 1,000 of companies that has been passed through the prior Wayra programs, the existing Wayra program. That is an immense community. And then also, this is a potential good point to be shared with your colleagues that are about to launch a venture builder. When we go to the phase builder team, you have an unfair advantage that
Definitely.
others might not have, because you are really tapped in the gigantic community that has been owned by you, and so you have definitely dense relationship, diverse relationship that I think is a unique asset that not all the corporates do have.
Definitely. I mean, we in the end, corporates have to rely on what you have. We are lucky because we have been doing this for many years. So yeah, we have an advantage, as you have said. But I think it's very important to keep in mind, if you're a corporate, that you have assets that you can rely on, and you should rely on. You're not alone if you're creating this venture builder in your company.
And let's go to stage 3, that is look for investors. So how much is the opportunity? Again, I think it is mandatory for you to get external investors, because you co-invest the business plan of the idea, but not the full plan, right?
That's right.
And when these co-investors come on board, right at the beginning, the phase of validation, or after a while? And how much are typically the relationship? How much you put, how much they put? How does it work?
So yeah, the co-investors usually is something, if in some cases, for example, when we have a venture builder, we're working or partnership with another venture builder, we already have somehow the co-investor identified. We might look also for other co-investors if the amount of money that the startup needs needs to bring more co-investors. But having co-investors in general for us is absolutely key, because it's not just a question of having the amount of money you need to create a startup, but it's part of our validation. If other investors are also interested in investing in the creation of this startup, then for us it's like any other market validation we're getting for the idea. Because if no other investors are interested, maybe it's not such a good idea as we thought. So it's part of our validation. It's part of our validation process. So if we already have a co-investor, in the case of the ideas somehow come from another venture builder or something, fine. But if not, we start looking for co-investors when we see that, yeah, this looks good, we want to invest in it, we want to take it to the investment committee, we start looking for potential co-investors. If possible, if we can go to the investment committee with these co-investors, better, because it gives it makes the proposal stronger. But yeah, basically when we see that it's a good idea and we would like to create a startup, is when we start when we might start looking for co-investors.
Okay. And then you establish the new entity, unless it's already established, right? Mm-hmm. And the next immediate goal is to launch an MVP. What are the typical KPIs that you have for new venture?
So launching the MVP, and there, what is important is the time to market we are talking about. Yeah, because usually one of the important things we look at is the startup has enough money, or the money that needs to survive 18-24 months. That is the runway for 18 or 24 months, right? So the time to market of the MVP is critical, because it's not just launching it. You have to start bringing customers afterwards, and that takes time. And you have to have quite a deal flow of customers there if you want to make it to the next round of investment. So one of the first things that we look at there is basically that the MVP. Also, other things that are important for us is, of course, the team. If the team is the right one, or there are any other profiles missing that the CEO has to focus on hiring. That's also very important for us. Those are the two things, but also it is going to also depend a lot on the startup, because in some particular cases, more technological companies, for example, might have more, like, let's call it, a risk of invention. So we have to put more focus on the technological part. In other cases, maybe it's something more related to I mean, there's more uncertainty in the market part, so that's where the focus has to be put. So I mean, then we set particular KPIs for that startup in particular. So one thing that is important is that I mentioned before that we provide advice in these four areas that I mentioned: design, product, technological, business, finance, and so on. One of the things is that even after the creation of the startup, we are still there helping and providing support. So that allows us basically to control very well the KPIs and how is the company going, and understand if there is something that should be changed. So it allows us to be very close to the startup, to understand how we can help it, or how we have to push, and in which way we have to push to try to make sure that the startup is going to be successful. So basically, we are trying to increase the probability of success of the startup by not just creating it, but helping it afterwards.
And when your venture builder duties end, so when you are at a certain point, you can consider yourself done with a startup.
Okay, so one of the important things about Wayra Builder is we don't do follow-ons. So after the first investment, it might happen that maybe Wayra, one of the other Wayra investment vehicles, can do a follow-on. Why not? But not Wayra Builder. Mm-hmm. So we don't do follow-ons, and this process of going and helping the startup and supporting the startup after the creation ends after 2 years after the startup has been created, or after the first round, after they get the first round of investment after the creation. So it depends, whichever happens earlier.
Okay, whatever happens earlier. Okay, I think it might be probably interesting to discuss about our concrete cases that come out of your venture builder. If I'm not wrong, you started as of today 4 new ventures.
That's right.
Super good news that 3 are still alive and kicking. One has just been probably shut down, but I think given the early stage and the high risk part of the curve that you are, it's totally normal. Actually, it's quite unnormal that you have 3 that are alive and kicking. Again, this is a phenomenal result, assuming all of them go to see the finish line. So maybe you can describe these 4 examples, also to understand how they originated, what has been your role, how they are doing, in a way that we can have some examples of how the venture builder, or the Wayra Builder specifically, works.
Okay. So the first one that was created was Dieter. And Dieter was basically, when it was created, it was based on a technology that we had internally in Telefonica, that we saw an opportunity to spin out. And in this particular case, we had from the beginning another partner or co-investor that is another venture builder. In this particular case, I think there's a learning there, because we didn't hire. I mean, it was the first attempt we did, so we didn't hire the CEO. The first person we hired wasn't the CEO, but the CTO. And yeah, one important thing that you have to keep in mind, and it's an important learning, is that basically the CEO has to be comfortable with the team. So that's why it's more important to bring the CEO first, and then the CEO can hire the people he or she thinks is needed and is comfortable to work with, and so on. So that's one learning we have.
Because the CEO was selected afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards. Yeah, it was
Because
selected.
that was an original, an internal ventures, right? That you has been spun out outside from, as a, we can say, as a spin-off of Telefonica did.
That's right. That's a
And
spin-off.
so the people that actually were originally behind the technology didn't want to take any active roles into the company. Is that right?
That's right. So yeah, and actually, it's kind of difficult to find people that are working on Telefonica that when the opportunity of a spinning out comes, uh, uh, do agree or want to be part of it. I mean, I've been 24 years in Telefonica already, and we have done even before Wayra Builder, because I think the good thing about Wayra Builder is that it provides a process of doing these spinouts. When we have done this in the past, is basically like a starting from a scratch,
Yeah.
with each of them. Yeah, and I have seen this in the past, and whenever you provide the opportunity, in general, people don't feel like leaving the company, and I wouldn't dare say it's kind of risk averse. It's probably a cultural thing. Also, why not? And Telefonica is a very good place to work as well. So in general, people don't feel the need to go or to go. I mean, I know there are cases in which this has happened. I mean, in the case there are cases in the past, we have had cases in the past where people wanted to be part of the spin out, but in general, it's not the case. Also, what you have to keep in mind as well is in these cases, for example, they were technological. They were technological products, let's say, and somehow these people might not have the right profile to become CEOs of startups, right? So it's, I would dare say, it's a
Technical
combination of people
background.
not wanting, people not wanting to leave the company, and also at the same time, maybe they don't even have the right profile, right, for becoming CEOs of the company. So I would dare say it's a combination.
Yeah.
And well, in the case of Dieter, basically what it does is provides. I mean, it has pivoted a lot since since it started. I mean, as any other startup, but basically what it does is provide businesses a way to offer their customers a way, to sign contracts through a messaging platform, and in particular WhatsApp. Um, in the case of Dieter, is the oldest one, and what it's pretty good is basically it has reached a break-even point. So
Mhm.
that's also very good news for us. So it's working pretty well. And then we have Shadow. In the case of Shadow, this was also and is also a technology that was patented by Telefonica. So it's a technology that we had in Telefonica. In this case, it's a cybersecurity startup, but that's basically to protect business documents, preventing your company from linking confidential documents. What it does is adds a watermark that allows to trace all the documents, right? And this was a technology that we had in company, and we saw the opportunity to spin out. In this case, for example, it was Wayra who provided or offered or identified the potential CEO for Shadow. So actually, it came from this let's call it I don't know, historic of potential founders for startups. So that's the case of Shadow. In the case of Shadow, actually, quite recently, the CEO, the woman, actually, she's a woman, got a prize as the best startup quite recently here in Madrid. So, I mean, but it's not in the same place as Dieter in terms of Dieter has already reached break even. That's not the case of Shadow.
They're
And
still on their way, and you're still working on with them, right?
that's right. And in the case of Dieter, we're still working with Dieter because they are working on the first round of investment, but haven't reached that phase yet. So we are still providing support to Dieter. But to be honest, they don't need it. They don't need it as much as at the beginning. So obviously, as they mature, they need us less and less. So that's also something that happens quite frequently. And then the last one is an education platform for training gamers to improve their gaming skills. In this particular case, it was a collaboration with another venture builder. They had this idea. They said, "Hey, would you like to become co-investor when we create this startup?" So basically, we created it together. And this one is also working on their first round of investment right now. So they haven't reached break even, but they have almost 100 subscribers in the platform, which is I mean, paying subscribers, and that's good.
And the fourth one, the one that you
Okay.
recently closed, what's the story behind that? Where did it come from? Still another
So
idea?
okay, so this one actually it came from well, as you it was how could I explain it? So basically, this is Telefonica has been working in consortiums, innovation consortiums, and scientific consortiums for some time, right? So in this particular case, it was um, collaboration from Telefonica, in particular the blockchain. The blockchain area was in this consortium, and we saw the opportunity of creating a startup from the results of this innovation they were carrying out in this consortium. And it was an European project. Okay, it was an European project, and basically we saw the opportunity to create a startup from the results of this consortium. And but sometimes, I mean, ideas look good, the potential business that you see is high, but that was not the case. So basically
let me correct you. Not sometimes, most of the times.
yeah,
Really good,
yeah, actually yes. Actually yes.
The ratio at this stage of maturity is actually that 80-90% of them that just crash and burn again. So I think it's pretty normal to, when you are something on the innovation frontier, most of the time you fall down on the other side, most of the time.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to conclude our super interesting conversation, what are your lessons learned from, again, these first years of activities working in the venture building area?
Okay, so the first one is it's very important that you have a very clear investment thesis, and it's not only because it allows you to focus on what type of ideas you're looking for, but also because it sets the rules of the game for everyone. I mean, for all the investors, for people that are going to propose ideas. It doesn't matter if it's internally or externally. So basically, it's setting the rules of the game, and also setting the rules of the game for your investment committee as well, right? So it's very important to have a very clear investment thesis. Also, another important lesson learned is it's absolutely key to have a good team, and also to work and to make decisions based on market validations. Probably, I mean, I'm sure everybody has heard it a lot of times, but the chances of success are higher with a good team and a bad idea, because they know how to pivot and how to find their way to make something that isn't that good to be successful than having a bad team with a very good idea. So the team is absolutely key.
And that
Also,
is quite an important point, because you build a team most of the times.
yeah, that's right.
And
So
so
yeah,
one
and
of the parts that you are really building as a venture builder is the team of the new venture that you are creating. That is, it's probably the most complicated part to be done.
yeah, definitely, because actually looking for, because you can say, okay, let's look for the founder, CEO of the startup. We have this huge like historic, but I mean, depending on the type of startup, you're going to need a different founder as well. So actually, one of the things that we do as a team, and once again being multidisciplinary helps a lot, is identifying the profiles we need. Yeah, and with this vision that we have 360, we can identify better the profiles we need. So it's not just the CEO, but sometimes, for example, if it's a more technological solution, what type of technical people you're going to need, right? So we can set or define better which ones are the profiles. Where's the riskiest part in this product, in this particular product, regarding I don't know, the technical part. So is it for example key to have someone profile that is very focused on machine learning, for example? If you don't have that because it's something key, then that's not going to work. You're going to need, I mean, that can happen also in the product. If it's a product, it doesn't, and it's a very technological product, then the product manager, let's call him, has to have some technical background. Is not only knowledge on how to take something to the market, but also some technological background. So once again, having this multidisciplinary team helps us a lot to define the profiles that are needed in the team, and we work with that. We work also with our connections in all the senses, because actually one of the things that we can also help is with we have a unit that is called Open Innovation Campus, that it's working with academia in general. Is open innovation with academia. So sometimes that connection helps us bring in talent also for our startups, not only for Telefonica but also for our startups in certain areas that or certain profiles that we're needing then. So the key, I mean, the team is absolutely key, but also as I mentioned before, making sure that your decisions are made based on market validations, even including things like we don't create the startup either other investors are not going to be part of it, because it's part of our validation process. So it's absolutely key that you don't have many data, you don't have 100% of certainty, but at least you need to manage as many market evidences as possible. Then another important learning is that corporate assets, as I mentioned before, are a strong differentiator. I mean, one of the good things that we have investment vehicles that are in corporates is that we are not just investors. Yes, we have certain assets in the company that can help our startups grow. So I mentioned before this advice, this 360 advice we provide, but we can also help them generating business, right? So our startups, why not, can become part of our portfolio of products and services. So the customers, the customers can also, why not become our customers? Can also, why not become their customers as well, right? So that's
but not as a first customer, if I can remember from prior conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. In the particular case of Wayra Builder, we don't want to be the first customers,
because
and
if
not
not, you are
necessarily.
certain way polluting the external validation.
Yeah, that's it. Because it's not just that okay, as a corporation, we are not the fastest customer out there, yeah, but also we want to make sure they can become independent companies. And if we are the first customer and only customer when we launch this, how are we really validating that this is really a good business opportunity, and basically the startup is going to be linked or relying only on us as a customer. So it's part of also our market validation to make sure that we are not the first customers. Of course, we can become customers in the future. Yeah, why not? But we don't want to be the first one, because it's part of our validation of that this is potentially a good business idea. And also be always open for ideas and sources of ideas. Yeah, from the inside and from the outside, because we started only with the inside, but then we realized that why not? Maybe there are opportunities out there that we can take advantage of them. Yeah, so you can scout ideas internally, but also externally. The important thing here is experimenting with the different sources. Yeah, because some of them might work, but how to make them work also is something you have to learn how to do, right? Because I mean, it's not the same working with another corporate and trying to create a startup together with another corporate than going, for example, to the university and talk to the students there and see if there is an idea there to create a startup. They are very, very different. So, I mean, you have to experiment and learn how to work with them. And I mean, you're going to have to reject a lot of ideas to find one that is really that is really going to move forward, and you're going to create this startup. So you're going to have to reject a lot of gen, and also you're going to have to make decisions without having 100% certainty of it. I mentioned it before. So you are going to have to take risks, and be the riskiest investment vehicle in the company.
Yes. Anyway, I think is the right place to be again, because it's the part that definitely is more exposed to the risk of unsuccess, but actually is the one that is most able to provide value, because again, you have definitely sky is the limit, and so obviously sky is very, very far by definition, and most of the time.
And somehow is the riskiest, but at the same time, it's we are looking at what could be the potential innovations of the company in 4 or 5 years time, right? So the new businesses, the new growth engines for the company in 4 or 5 years time. So
actually, just to ending our conversation with a final remark, again, you are right. You are working on the Horizon 3 that is creating potentially the future of Telefonica 2035, Telefonica 2040, some new revenue stream for Telefonica. And so again, probably that now you are the part that is definitely more risky in the overall investment portfolio, but at the end you are the insurance policy for Telefonica, because actually you are working to providing some future to the core business that by definition is going over the time to slightly slow down. So you are the more risky part, but also probably you are the insurance policy for Telefonica. Susana, thanks a lot for this conversation. Congratulations again for a well-deserved award, and let's continue to monitor how this venture building vehicle is evolving, because again, there is a lot to be learned on your side, a lot to be learned from us, from your experience. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.